Goeienaand, baie welkom by Fokus. Ek is Lenet Francis Puren. Bietjie later in die program vertel ons meer van 'n organisasie wat werklose jongmense oplei om vaardighede te ontwikkel. En ons hoor die jongste oor katarak-operasies vir mense van plattelandse gebiede in die Noord-Kaap. Eskom het vandag bekend gemaak dat die land weer op onbepaald terug is op fase 5 beerkrag. Dit volg na die verligting oor die Paastyd toe die beerkrag gewissel het tussen geen in fases 1, 2 en 3. Maar wat is die skielike verandering veroorsaak? Boonop word daar erg bespiegel liewer oor die redes vir 'n besluit om Eskom vry te skeld van onreëlmatige, vrugtelose en verkwistende besteding. Dit is later teruggetrek. Om hierdie en ander verwikkelinge te bespreek, is ons nou via Zoom in verbinding met die bekende finansiële en politieke joernalis Carol Paton. Thanks so much for joining us this evening, Carol. Just give us the latest on the withdrawal of that exemption of Eskom and why it even happened.
So what has happened is that Treasury has withdrawn that and they have published it for public comment. So they're asking the public or any other stakeholder if they want to comment on this idea, and the idea is to allow Eskom not to report on fruitless and wasteful expenditure and if it is not due to corruption. So they're not saying that we're going to hide corruption. They're saying, anything that's to do with corruption, that's got to go into the financial statements. But stuff that doesn't, is not due to corruption, it's due to procedures, incorrect processes happening, that doesn't have to be reported on in the financial statements. And the reason for that is that they think that this will give Eskom a better chance of getting a clean audit. So that's the motivation. But I think that, as we know, the public responded by saying, we don't trust this. And that's very much the problem, is that the trust is now so low between citizens and government and citizens and Eskom that you can't do something like that without people really responding badly.
Just that decision, though, the fact that Transnet had that exemption and that Eskom was going to possibly follow the same route, how is that possible without public scrutiny, without oversight, without engaging the public on that possible decision?
Well, I don't think strictly it probably doesn't need public consultation. And what happened in the case of Transnet was that, they got the exemption a year ago. It was published in the Government Gazette. One very clever journalist, Terence Creamer at Engineering News, he did pick it up. He did write about it. He did say to the public, this is not right. But because at the time people didn't care as much about Transnet as they care about Transnet now, or Eskom now, it kind of went unnoticed. So one of the issues in it is that now we're going to have a public comment process on the Eskom exemption, but Transnet already has that exemption because the exemption granted last year was granted for several years.
So we had a bit of a reprieve over the Easter weekend. We moved between stages 1, 2 and 3, but now we're back to 5. What's happened in the interim and why has stage 5 been necessitated?
Well, what's happened is quite simply, it's a demand and supply situation. So the weather has changed. People are back at work. There are no more holidays. The demand has gone up enormously. So if you look at around Easter, the overall demand was about 24,000 megawatts and Eskom had around 25,000 megawatts available. And just yesterday, the demand shot up to 31,000 megawatts, which is now we're getting closer to what it'll be in winter. It's going to move into that 34, 35, 36 megawatt demand phase where everyone wants to heat their houses and cook their food all at the same time. So that's really what changed in between the holidays and now. It did seem kind of odd and coincidental that it sort of happened, just after, Julius Malema's so-called shutdown. But really, it wasn't really anything to do with that. It was just simply that demand dropped off for the holidays, and the shutdown itself meant that most people stayed away from work.
Should we assume that maintenance will now be neglected in the interim?
So what happens now, Eskom has done this every year, so I think it's important to remember that every single year they have a summer maintenance program and they have a winter maintenance program. And during summer, they're taking about 10% of their plant out for maintenance, and it's about 5,000 megawatts that they take out and work on, and that's not available because it's under maintenance. But during winter, that changes quite dramatically to right down to 1,000 megawatts. So they really try not to do maintenance in winter. So that will happen. That is going to happen anyway, and it's going to start kicking in really from about May. But I think the danger this time is that we don't know what's going to happen to the plant. If the plant is not taken out for maintenance and the deterioration has been an ongoing problem, we don't really know how it's going to respond when this maintenance doesn't happen for a protracted period, like 4 or 5 months.
And just in conclusion, there's rumors that we might see a stage 7, possibly 8. What's the likelihood of that?
Look, there is a likelihood of that. It was interesting that the Minister of Electricity, Kgotsientsho Ramokgopa, said that, he didn't think, this was about 2 weeks or 2-3 weeks ago, he said he didn't think that we would reach stage 6 because he was feeling pretty confident. Back then, demand was low, the picture looked different. And I think just today he said, well, look, we better brace for a hard winter. And we might be going beyond stage 6. So he has started to factor that in. But other experts, other analysts had already said, just based on judging on the seasonal patterns of demand, of Eskom's plant performance, all of those things factor in. If you just look at how the plant did last year and look at how it's probably going to perform this year, then we're going to go beyond stage 6. Not all the time, not every day, but there will be occasions.
Thank you so much for your time this evening on Fokus, Carol. Much appreciated. Net hierna hoor ons van 'n organisasie wat werklose jongmense help. Bly gerus ingeskakel. Welkom terug by Fokus. Werkloosheid in Suid-Afrika staan steeds op meer as 30%, maar dis veral jong mense van tussen 15 en 34 jaar oud wat daaronder ly. Boonop het beerdkrag die situasie vererger. 'n Organisasie in Johannesburg gee jong mense vaardighede wat hulle 'n kans gee om in diens geneem te word. In die verslag van Nadiva Schreibman.
Volgens die jongste statistiek is ongeveer 61% van die jeug in Suid-Afrika werkloos. Met die land se toenemende armoedsvlakke lyk die toekoms maar bleek vir die jeug.
We stands for Mold, Empower and Serve, and we are not-for-profit company. And our vision is to change the heart of the city. So we work in inner city spaces where there's poverty and where we offer services to preschool children, after-school centres to keep children off the streets and safe in the afternoons, school leaving youth programs to also look into youth unemployment, our homeless community that we serve, and then families at risk.
Into enzise apha eMesi kuhlukumezeka, ndiphetheke kakubi ngumamam, bendihlala nomamam ne-stepfather. Umamam like ngumuntu othanda ubumnandi, uyadakwa, so siphethe singavisisani ngalo ndaba. Stepfather wam like ezama ukungenza umama xa engekho umamam, so xa ndimxelela umamam angabhilivi, so waphetha engixoshe sithi no ngixabanisa nomuntu wakhe. So ndaphuma ke ekhaya ngaloo ndlela, ndalala esitratweni, ndaya kwenye indawo kuse-Captain Park. Ngifikile lapho kwi-shelter, ndafika kuthiwa kuhlala abafana bodwa. So bazama ke ufowunela ngapha nabe ndingayazi le ndawo so banzisa kule ndawo. Okwangoku ndisahleli ndisamaketha like ilanga lam liba sharp because andicabangi kakhulu akho nto indihluphayo.
Beerdkrag lewer ook 'n groot bydrae tot die gesukkel om werk te kry.
Ingabikho umbane ndiya-affecteka because mhlawumbi ndifuna uyomaketha ndifuna ukwenza amakopi so andikwazi ukwenza amakopi andinokudla kuyamoshakala.
Albert Lebaka het Johannesburg toe getrek met die hoop om sy biologiese pa te vind, maar weens werkloosheid is hy haweloos gelaat in die stad van goud.
Back in 2005, my mom passed away, and then she was also like alone. She never had no siblings, so I don't have any cousins. So after she passed on, things started to get very rough for me, and then I continued with school up until I finished my grade 12 and I got mugged, so I lost everything that I had. That's how I ended up in the streets of Joburg.
Volgens Albert probeer hy om 'n besigheid te begin, maar Beerdkrag ry diep poging in die wiele.
Inkunzi, robbery, because it's dark, so we were facing a lot of that. So it's been happening. A friend of mine just the other day, I mean, he was stabbed. The other one was shot because of during a robbery. So, but when there's lights on, then yeah, it's not really much of a problem. When I got here, they really did like help me out. They did my ID, I mean, life skills.
Pumzile Butelezi leer nuwe vaardighede om 'n werk te kry.
In the morning when we come here, the time we have to start learning, like we have to do practical, the load shedding starts. We have to stop.
We have to do one lesson in a week, then the other week another lesson, the other week another lesson. But it's hard because we do one lesson for 2 weeks now because of this load shedding.
I can't do ironing for kids, like uniform. I can't cook food. The food is getting rotten in the fridge. Water. The flat, they tell us that the water pump is affecting because of electricity.
You have to use electricity to prepare a bottle for a child. Even the stoves, the fridges, food get rotten in the fridge. So it's a waste.
Die nie winsgewende organisasie MES sê hulle het meer uitgawes weens die nagevolge van beerdkrag.
The shelters is quite a challenge in the terms of when the power goes off at night. It does increase the risk for our staff because your control and your security measures just go down. So in terms of people jumping over the fences, people stealing from one another because it's a big crowd to control, and if it's dark, and we can't use stuff like candles because it's too risky. And a lot of our clients in our shelters do battle with mental health. So if they don't feel safe and it's dark, it just sparks other things.
Beerdkrag laat ook sy letsels op 'n landbou-inisiatief in Brits. Die inisiatief lei die jeug op om werk in die bedryf te kry.
The suppliers who are our lucerne producers, with the lucerne we feed our cattle, I mean all those crops. They are struggling to supply because there's a lot of load shedding and it's affect them, and the prices as well also goes up.
If we can continue like having this problem of electricity, we are not going anywhere because we're looking forward that we can grow even overnight, like working night shift so that we keep our number of cattle to grow more. But because of electricity, we can't keep our number of cattle more. We have to make it short. Because make it short, we're only working during the day.
Die plaas loop ook dikwels onder misdaad deur wanneer die krag af is.
There's a lot of theft. They stole the tractor, they stole also the machine that we use to mix the feed. So it also affects us because if we had electricity, we would be able to see what is happening around the farm.
In my area, the unemployment is very high. We're having more people falling into the poverty trap. We're having more unemployment. The rate of unemployment is going extremely high. due to the problems that we face with this load shedding. Without electricity, we cannot meet our demands. We cannot produce according to what we have set our goals. It's becoming an issue now since it's taking us back now.
Kwadiboni sê beurtkrag gaan nie haar toekoms negatief beïnvloed nie.
I want to see South Africa being one of the best producers of meat, and I want to see us networking with other African countries, making sure that we are working together in collaboration, because in the agriculture sector we need to work together and in collaboration and grow the continent.
Wonderlike optimisme ten spyte van daardie beurtkrag. Bly ingeskakel, net hierna vertel Keith Suister dat meer mense met katarakte nou in die Noord-Kaap gehelp kan word. Ons is nou terug. Die romslomp om pasiënte van plattelandse dorpies in Namakwaland wat dringend katarak-operasies moet ondergaan in Kimberley en Appington te kry, kan dalk nou iets van die verlede wees. Dit volg nadat die Departement van Gesondheid in die Noord-Kaap 'n memorandum van verstandhouding met die nie-regeringsorganisasie Caring for Sight op Springbok onderteken het. Die memorandum behels dat albei organisasies nou hande vat om broodnodige katarak-operasies spoedig afgehandel te kry. Regisseur Keith Suister het die verslag saamgestel.
Bloot om te kan sien is vir baie van ons 'n voorreg, maar in Namakwaland is daar baie mense wat met katarakke op hul oë deur die lewe moet gaan. Dit belemmer hul sig. 'n nie-regeringsorganisasie Caring for Sight in Springbok het reeds baie mense gehelp om van katarakke ontslae te raak en weer hul sig te kry. Maar 'n romslomp met vervoer en administrasie om mense wie dringend katarakke moet laat verwyder uit Namakwaland in Kimberley te kry, het daartoe gelei dat baie mense maande moes wag om gehelp te word. Die Departement van Gesondheid in die Noord-Kaap het nou na 'n groot gesukkel 'n memorandum van verstandhouding met Caring for Sight onderteken om mense vinniger te help.
Caring for Sight het in Februarie 'n MOU of 'n Memorandum of Understanding met die Departement van Gesondheid in die Noord-Kaap gesluit. Dit behels dat ons hande gaan vat en saam gaan werk om die katarakprobleem in Namakwaland op te los. Ons organisasie en die Departement van Gesondheid in die Noord-Kaap het verskillende hulpbronne en kontakte. Nou kan ons saamspan en mekaar se kontakte en se netwerk uitbrei en makliker hierdie katarakprobleem oplos om vir mense hier die lewensveranderende operasie te gee. Ons het in 2022 49 pasiënte kon stuur vir katarak-operasies. Hierdie jaar vir 2023 beplan ons om minstens 1 meer pasiënte te stuur, so ons mikpunt is 50 pasiënte vir 2023. Ons doel vir hierdie jaar is om 'n teater in Namakwaland self op die been te bring. Dit gaan baie logistieke probleme vir ons oplos en ons hoop op dan om die dienslewering hier in Namakwaland self te verbeter. En ons glo dit gaan werksgeleenthede vir plaaslike mense hier skep.
Fokus het met van die mense oor hul ervarings met katarakke op die oë gaan praat. Sofia Bekes kan nou baie beter sien. Sy woon op Kameskroon buite Springbok en sukkel vanaf 2007 met erge katarak op beide van haar oë. Maar in Julie verlede jaar het haar lewe en sig handomkeer verander. Maar dit was nie 'n maklike paadjie nie.
Want ek het verskriklik gesukkel met hierdie oë, want ek sien die goed so verkeerd. Ek is hier in die saal, is ons besig met was het iets met die saal gehad. Nou lyk dit vir my daar lê 'n mes, maar toe sit heeltyd die son se streep wat daar op die vloer val. En ek probeer die mes optel en ek vat die mes raak nie. En die een vroegie vir my, wat vat jy daar? Ek sê die mes wat hier, toe sit nie 'n mes in my huis. Dan sien ek nou goeters. Of ek maak nou my ou kossietjie. En dan kyk ek, dan liggen er nou, hierdie ou diertjies van ons, is nou in die pot. Dan krap ek hy kossie en ek gooi weg. Maar daar is dit nie so nie. Maak ek vir my 'n koffietjie, hier is alweer 'n ding in nie. Gooi ek af, daar is dit nie so nie.
En as jy op die straat geloop het?
Op die straat. Nou sien ek daar. Okay, nou môre, dan groet die mense. maar daar was dit 'n klip. Of ek sien nou die mens mos nou vir 'n klip. Of so, of want ek het ook later gedink wat ek groet nie, want die mense groet my nie, of ek sien nie wie hulle is, of het nou 'n mens is nie. So by so op 'n dag het ek daar in die agterste straat van bo af gekom. Nou gelukkig is daar my vriendinnetjie by my. Nou waai ek vir die mense. Nou sê sy nee, dis wat goed wat daar hang.
Net so kon Lorraine Daman van Bersig voor operasie bykans niks sien nie, maar nou na operasie kan sy weer maklik lees en sonder die hulp van haar kinders en familie oor die weg kom.
Dit was baie moeilik. Nommer 1, jy het hulp nodig. Maar ek het gewas, ek het gestryk, ek het op my manier kos gemaak. En dan die loop. Die loop was baie moeilik, want ek moes voetjie vir voetjie geloop het. Want hulle het gedink, ek het 'n rugprobleem. Maar dit is hoe ek gefokus is om nie te val nie. Die linker oog het ek seker nog so 5 of 6% sig gehad. So dan kan ek met dit kon ek nog beweeg. Maar later het dit al swakker en swakker geraak. Maar vanuit die katarak af is, dit is 'n wonderlike gevoel. Jy kan net die Here dankie sê, dat hy jou daai kans gegee het, en vir Darien, vir ons gestuur het. So, meneer sê dit was 'n wonderlike gevoel.
Die Departement van Gesondheid in die Noord-Kaap het na vele versoeke van Fokus nie oor hul rol en hulp in die memorandum gereageer nie.
Die vreugde om weer te kan sien, hoe wonderlik is dit nie. En terwyl jy nou tussen vlak 5 en vlak 6 beweeg en jy dalk nie die kans vanaand om te kyk na die program nie, onthou ons is steeds op YouTube beskikbaar. Ons groet tot volgende Woensdag aand om 7. Tot dan. Totsiens.